Hello there. I'm back for another vlog, and this time there are actually three things that I know that I want to talk to you about today. I made sure to take notes. That's the only way it's going to happen. So here is the three things. It's 2026, so I want to talk about creating my new AI-based YouTube channel, what that's all about, and what that entails. I also want to talk about the continuance or the importance of continuing to do this vlog that you're looking at right now. And then I want to conclude with 2026 career improvements for me that maybe will inspire you as well. We'll see. Let's just jump right into it. I want to talk about the AI-based YouTube channel that I want to discuss. That's a really important thing to me. It's just really had a huge impact on my 2025, and I feel like it really should have a greater impact on everybody else, and it's important to me to find a way to talk about that, share my views, and do it in a structured way, unlike this vlog where I kind of just turn the thing on and start recording and talking, sort of a stream of consciousness thing. I want it to be a little bit more focused and organized to see if I can actually attract an audience, get some subscribers, see if I can gain some traction. That's less important to me on this channel. It's going to be a lot more important to me on the other channel. Let's talk a little bit about why. That might help me maybe better articulate why that's an objective, and see perhaps if you happen to be finding this vlog, maybe you might be interested in that channel as well. So AI has played this huge part of my life in 2025. I work as a software engineer on a platform called Salesforce. I spent a lot of time working in the consulting space in Salesforce, meaning I didn't work for any one company. Well, I did work for a company, but we were contracted out to other companies that were implementing Salesforce. And Salesforce really just doubled and tripled down on the importance of implementing AI in whatever your workflow is. They call their solutions Agentforce. That's sort of a general term for it, but Agentforce is a name that they apply to anything that's AI related. And really their push was, hey, if it's, whatever the implementation is, find a way to fit AI into that solution, and we'll call it Agentforce. And I'm paraphrasing. It's probably not quite that vague and generic, but at times it felt like it was. Whatever you can do that's AI related, just put that in front of the client and see if they bite. I think the problem that I had with that was it wasn't specific, and I didn't find that many of the implementations of AI, at least in these early phases, were offering a whole lot of value. There's got to be a lot more benefit to AI than just what I'm seeing in the Salesforce realm. And of course, it's just the beginning for them. They're putting together the baseline foundations that enable their engineers to produce solutions on the platform in a way that I think is probably considered rapid development. And I think that's why we're seeing this sort of limited scope in what you can solve with the tools that are available now on the Salesforce platform. Anyway, because AI has been front and center for me, it's really been a part of the conversation for pretty much all year, all 2025. But then when I began to adopt it into my own workflow, that's when things really started to change for me. So what I'm talking about is vibe coding. You've probably heard about it before. And vibe coding is, it's kind of a big deal. If you talk to people about it, what they'll tell you is that vibe coding allows really anybody who can articulate what they're looking for to translate those instructions into working software. And that's close to true. You do have to have a really good understanding of software engineering to architect good solutions with vibe coding, at least right now. So a lot of what you'll see and a lot of what you'll hear about when people are speaking negatively about vibe coding is, hey, if anybody sits down and vibe codes their way into an app that works, what does it look like under the hood? Are there security concerns? Are there issues? And a lot of times, yeah, there are. That's why vibe coding is really most effective when it's put in the hands of somebody who is already a software engineer. And even better when it's put in the hands of someone who's a software engineer on a specific platform or framework. If you understand how to architect good software just naturally, then you can understand how to vibe code your way into really good software, and at a pace that's significantly more rapid than if you were doing it on your own. And that's where I think vibe coding really shines. Get vibe coding into the hands of seasoned software engineers, and you'll find that you can get stuff done at a pace that is significantly faster than you would without it. So exploring that and getting that into my workflow has been a dramatic increase in my throughput. And I want to talk more about that. But it's not just vibe coding. There's other things about AI and the way that it's evolved over the year that have been really, really interesting to me. Specifically, in the creative space, generative AI and the ability to produce images and video in a photorealistic way based on prompts is really, really fascinating to me. Honestly, it's kind of opened the floodgates. I've always felt that I had, these sort of creative interests, but have never really had the ability to say, you know what, I think just on the weekend I'll go ahead and make myself a 5-minute animated short. Right? I've never been an animator. I'm not an artist. I can't do that. It's the kind of thing that I could probably do if I had a budget, if I could reach out to other artists, graphic artists, animators, and script writers and say, hey, let's put something together and here's what I've got. Then I could probably assemble something. AI and generative AI and the way that it's working, it kind of eliminates all of those upfront requirements and it allows more people to be more creative. There's a lot of talk out there about AI slop, and this is where people just kind of haphazardly throw something together with a prompt. They get what they get and they throw it out there. Some of it is surprisingly creative, some of it not so much. And I think it's the whole not so much thing that gets people really kind of not all that interested in seeing AI continue to evolve. I understand that, but the toothpaste is out of the tube. AI is not going anywhere. Generative AI is getting very, very good very, very quickly, and it's going to continue to do so. It stands to reason that the best way to handle that is to say, okay, let's look at how this is, and let's look at how this is working. Let's see who's working with it, and let's see if we can find ways to improve the output, make it work better, so that these people who are creative types who have really adopted it can produce better work. They'll have better outcomes. I want to talk about that. I want to get that out in front of people and have conversations with people about that, but also AI in general and the way that it's going to impact us as a civilization, I think is very, very important. If we're talking about being able to do more with less because of this evolving technology, and we know that this technology isn't going anywhere, then we need to be having a conversation about what does that mean for the workforce and who is looking out for us. Meaning, we got to get in front of our legislators. We got to get in front of government. We got to talk about what it means to allow this technology to evolve and who's going to own it and who's going to run it. Is it going to be the billionaires or is it going to be somebody else? And if it is the billionaires, are they going to restrict its use to just people who can afford it? These are the kinds of topics that I want to talk about on this other YouTube channel. That's why it's really important to me to kind of keep this front and center 2026 and make sure that I actually get this done. Just as important to me, though, is continuing to vlog. I've talked a little openly, I think, about this whole, I want to call it a midlife crisis. I don't know if that's really it. I joke a lot about how between the age of 40 and 50 was my decade-long midlife crisis, and I think that's mostly just to do with some of the things that kind of took place during that decade. Some good stuff and some bad stuff, some notable bad stuff that made me think perhaps this is just a decade-long midlife crisis. I don't really think that's it, but I will say that my wife's cancer diagnosis made me look at life completely differently. And I just want to make sure that I'm taking every opportunity that I possibly can and leveraging all of the technology that's out there to leave my mark in some way so that my kids can at least say, hey, remember when Dad was 50 years old and used to talk to himself on camera? Thank God we still have those silly videos. Here they are. Hit play. I just want my kids to know me. I want them to remember me. I want them to know what I was doing at this time in my life. I want them to know my struggles. I want them to, maybe even relate to my struggles or learn from my struggles. So my hope is that I continue to document that stuff here, that I continue to feel comfortable talking into my camera that's attached to my desk here. But I've also got to kind of get over the challenges of keeping up with it. It is surprisingly difficult to get motivated to talk to yourself. And I say that very deliberately, not only because I'm sitting in a room by myself and talking to myself, but also, starting a vlog where nobody knows you and no one's watching you, and you get maybe 1 or 2 views on a video because you happen to hit somebody's search result, or I don't know what it is that makes people look at this, but It can be really hard when you're putting together content, you're getting it out there, and you see 2 or 3 views on it. It's like, what am I doing this for? You do have to continue to remind yourself that you are doing it for yourself, that you have your own personal objectives that are driving you, and kind of let all of the other noise in your head go away and focus on that. So I want to continue to get over that challenge and see if I can just continue to press on. One of the other things, though, that's worth mentioning is just the absolute discomfort that I have talking into a camera in public. I was talking to a friend of mine, a couple of months ago, and he told me that he's got an influencer that lives in his neighborhood. And he knows because he found I think it was an Instagram channel. He says he's got something like tens of thousands of followers. And he sees him walking around the neighborhood, holding his selfie stick and talking into the camera. And I remember when he told me that, I was like, huh, weird. And then as I'm doing something similar, it's hard not to get that thought out of my head. I'm like, what are people thinking when they're looking at me talking into this camera? And I was at the park the other day recording a video, and I had a guy jog by me. I had somebody kind of walking up the hiking trail and look at me, and I stop and say hi, but I'm thinking, what are they thinking? So those kind of voices in my head that are making me think about that and kind of get a little weird and insecure about it, that's the kind of thing that I need to get over as well, just because it is important to me to continue to document what it is that I'm thinking, what my objectives are, just so that I can meet my own personal goal. And if that turns into something else, great. But so long as I meet my personal goal, I should continue to push forward and get over those discomforts. Lastly, I really want to document my desire to have some significant career improvements in 2026. For me, 2025 just went off the rails pretty early. And I think a lot of that had to do with my wife getting diagnosed with cancer. I was already kind of in a space where I was in my head about, am I doing good stuff? I've got all of these ambitions, but I really feel like I'm stagnating. Like that was already a thought in my mind. And I was really pushing hard to be more entrepreneurial, to get out there and do my own thing. And I'd started to take those steps. And then the cancer diagnosis thing happened. And I'll tell you, I just had one misfire after the next. There's something about this total imbalance in my personal life that just bleeds over into my professional life. When things are not going well in a really bad way for me personally, professionally, I feel that. It just kind of bleeds over. I start to make bad decisions. I start to kind of, lose my good judgment on certain things. And I feel like that was definitely the case for me in 2025. Once that happened, it was really hard for me to objectively make good career decisions that were going to set me down a path that was good for me in the long term. And it really took me a good long time to get back on my feet. In fact, I would even say that I probably haven't gotten back on my feet until probably maybe 2 months ago or so. I've been really fortunate because I've been an independent contractor. I've had some really great gigs working with really, really great people. I just didn't feel, and I'm still a little uncertain if I've got anything that I'm working on right now that is permanent for the long term. I feel that I'm in a good space now. I'm working with a really great team, with a really, really good, solid, profitable company, working on a platform and software APIs that I really, really enjoy. So right now I'm feeling uplifted. I feel great. My hope is that I can focus this year and make this something that's permanent, something that is going to push my career forward instead of making me feel sort of flat and stagnating. I think feeling good about where I am for the past couple of months has also let me drop some loyalties that I probably didn't need to be hanging on to. And that's one of the things that I can do. I can develop loyalties career-wise that I hold on to and keep, even if they are not in my best interests. That's the thing that I've been doing, I think, for probably the past 20 years or so. I'll develop these professional loyalties that are meaningful to me, but may not necessarily be as meaningful on the other side. And I can really sort of, maybe have impaired judgment on whether or not I should maintain those loyalties. Kind of a frequent thing for me. And I think being in a really good spot right now has let me say, hey, you know what? I've been pretty loyal to these folks over here. Maybe I just need to let them go and do their thing, right? And then I'll be over here doing my thing. And that's kind of where I'm at right now. And it's sort of liberating and feels good. It makes me really want to dig in and invest where I'm at right now. And that's exactly where I feel like my mind should be if what I'm looking for in 2026 is stability, upward movement, and success. So that is my objective. So please wish me luck, 2 or 3 viewers, because I'm hoping that 2026 is going to be a big deal for me. We're like literally 4 days away from my wife being declared cancer-free. That's going to be a huge load off of my mind. I'm sure a huge load off of her mind. And then hopefully I can not only meet my professional goals, but my personal goals as well. And we can start out 2026 on the right foot. I hope you can as well. I thank you very much for your attention today. Please do the whole YouTube thing. Like and subscribe if you would. It really helps me. I've only got a couple of you. I could use more. Thank you, and I will talk to you in the next video.